Hi guys, my name is Gia. So I wanted to make this video today because I know a lot of us are struggling right now, and I know that this is a huge crisis. A lot of us have sort of lost our jobs or been laid off, and I know a lot of us might be struggling or digging into our savings. So I wanted to make a video on how to save money because I thought it would be really helpful. Obviously, a lot of us aren't really spending money right now, but when we come out of this crisis and we get our jobs back or we get new jobs or whatever the case is, this will help, to give you some sort of advice and tips on how to repad your bank account and build up a better savings. Also, in case you ever run into a crisis like this again, or if you just want to learn how to start saving money to begin with. Also, a lot of the tips that I'm sharing, I've seen some of them, I haven't seen some of them. I've watched a lot of videos about saving money, but I feel like some of these tips are unique, and it's not just about saving money, it's also about being more kind to the earth and to yourself. So, okay, I'll get started. My first tip is to thrift. So, I know that it can be tempting to follow certain styles or trends, but when you thrift, not only are you sort of taking pressure off of the planet and off of, sweatshop workers and yourself to follow trends, you're also creating a really cute, unique style. And actually, it can be really fun, sort of trying to figure out what looks cute together, and it's sort of like doing art. You might be cutting some things up, accessorizing. It's also kind of like a fun little sort of like scavenger hunt that you can do with your friends, and it's really cool to see what you can find. So I'm not just talking about clothes, I'm also talking about furniture. I've thrifted some really nice furniture, and you can, refurbish it yourself. You can paint it, which is a fun activity, and it also gives your place and you and your style such a more unique, like down-to-earth sort of feel. You're not gonna have what everyone else is wearing, and you're gonna have the energy of buying something that's been reused, which I feel like is a lot better energy than buying something that has just been made, that probably has like a lot of flame retardants and chemicals and maybe wasn't even made in a super ethical way. Your dollar is going towards thrifting instead of funding companies that might not be following the ethics that you'd want to support. So also, thrifting is really cheap. There are some stores that are sort of like, they only take nice stuff, so they're a little bit more expensive, and then they're just like your average thrift stores like Goodwill or whatever, your local thrift stores. And those thrift stores, they're usually really cheap, and you can probably get like a whole wardrobe for like $100. And then if you end up not liking the outfit, because a lot of times us girls or even guys, we buy outfits and then maybe a couple weeks later you don't even like it anymore. Well, you didn't even spend that much to get it. So I think thrifting is a huge thing that can really help out the earth and the conservation of the planet. And it can also have you create more of a unique style for yourself. And then on top of that, it's definitely not a dent in your wallet, and it can be fun. Okay, so my second thing is to make your own products. So I've been there. I used to buy super expensive hair products, makeup, all of the above. And once I started getting more into health and learning about chemicals they put into things, I realized that a lot of the stuff we're paying so much for actually isn't even good for your body, and it can actually do more harm than good. So I'm going to make a video about how I make all my own products, but just for examples, if you guys want to go look it up yourself, I make my own body scrubs, I make my own like hair masks, deodorants, just stuff like that. Make your own stuff, and I feel like it's gentler on your body, and it reaps a better benefit for you. And when you're making your own stuff and you're using bases of like coconut oil and sugar, you're not really hurting the earth. as far as if you're using chemicals, you're putting those chemicals like down your drain back into the earth, and you are hurting the earth. So making your own things is huge. It also really does save you money because let's say you make your own body scrub. If you buy your own body scrub that has like chemicals in it, it can be anywhere between like probably $5 to $50. But if you make your own, all you have to do is buy like a huge thing of sugar, which is probably $5, essential oils, and whatever oil you want, and it will probably last you for years. So you can already see how much of a difference that sort of makes. I also make my own like face masks, and you can make your own makeup remover, your own lotion, and it's actually really fun learning. Plus you can customize it, because then you can have like your own essential oils in it to smell how you want to smell, rather than just buying what somebody else made. So I think that that's really cool, special, unique, and it doesn't do damage on the earth. So the third thing is try not to go on social media so much. So this is sort of like a chain effect. I really don't go on social media that much, and I noticed when I was on social media, even if you only follow like spiritual accounts or like accounts that help you grow, you're not gonna be free of all the ads and seeing all like the Instagram models and what they're wearing, and you know how good their style looks. And I'll admit, like, it is sort of captivating, and then you're kind of like, well, maybe I should, you know, buy these clothes off this website, and then you kind of start spending more money, as you can see. And then it's kind of like once you start taking pictures, you kind of fall into this like almost like trap of like sort of trying to keep up with that and keep ordering more and more clothes, and it just gets kind of like worse and worse. So I notice when I'm not on social media, I don't care what other people think. I don't care what they think of my style. I don't care, you know, which clothes I'm tagging or whatever. I'm just wearing what I think is cute, maybe what I found at the thrift store. And so this is more of like a preventative way. It's not like you're gonna save, it's not a direct way to save money, but in the long run you will save money by going on social media less. The fourth thing is try to get as many uses as you can out of one item. And what I mean by this, like, let's say for example, you juice some beets. So left over in your juicer, there's a bunch of like the beets, you know, and you can make like raw beet burgers. You can do things with like the leftovers from celery. You can recycle your plastic, which is also good for the earth, and you get like a little bit of money for that. So if you just sort of reuse things, like you reuse jars, and you pay more attention when you're throwing things away, you can actually save a lot of money. And maybe even just taking some time, I feel like we're all doing this right now, to like go through our cabinets and sort of be like, okay, what can I make happen with what I have? Like to stop and just sort of, you know, create some sort of idea or something like that with what you have left over, rather than just going like straight out to eat. Which leads me into one of my next scenes, which is try to spend a little bit more time alone. Now, I don't mean like deprive yourself of human connection or self-isolate. What I mean by this is I've noticed that, you know, when you're out with your friends, you're more likely to go out to eat or to go shopping or just to go do things that cost money in general. Unless you have those really awesome friendships, which is like you can just go to the park and sit at the park, or they can just come over and watch a movie with you, and it's really special like that. When you're first starting to get to know people, it's almost like it kind of takes a little bit of a dent in your wallet. So if you know, are getting to know someone, maybe recommend things more like walking the park or like making a salad at your house and then going out, rather than always meeting. You know, I would say it's awesome to support your local businesses, but if you're always going out, you're probably spending a lot more money. And also, some people do need to step back and take some time alone. Maybe you're always with other people. Maybe you just need to take some time alone and, you know, cook your own food and just sit with yourself for a day or whatever that is. So this kind of leads into the next one also. And this one is stop drinking alcohol. So this is probably the worst thing you can do. This will make you always be behind on your game, and I'm gonna throw drugs in there too. Every person that I know that drinks excessively, they usually are really bad with money, because your hormones and the chemicals in your brain have you like emotionally spending. First of all, alcohol is pretty expensive to begin with. It definitely, there's so many negative effects of alcohol, but one of them is the fact that it does cost money. If you think about it, one night going out, you're spending money on probably, hopefully, an Uber, and then all the drinks, depending on how much you drink, depending on how much you tip, depending on who you buy drinks for. And then it's also that late night eating where you're hungry because of, you know, the chemicals the alcohol releases in your brain, and then you end up buying takeout or whatever. I've been sober for 3 months completely, and before that I didn't really drink that much, but I do notice that when I used to drink, the next day I'd be hungover, I'd order Uber Eats, I didn't feel like cooking, I'd look at my bank account and I spent like $100 between the Ubers and the drinks and maybe buying drinks for my friends, and I always tip people. And then drugs is just a whole nother thing, and that's even more of a dent in your wallet. And obviously, aside from just completely ruining your life, you know, and not saying I'm not judging on any of this stuff. I'm just saying, like, if you're trying to save money, I would definitely try to stop drinking. And drugs, obviously, they cost a lot of money, and then, you know, when your life is out of order, it's kind of hard to create a routine. It's hard to get yourself up to cook and all of that. So drinking and drugs, you know, if you pencil it out and do the math, it can end up costing you hundreds of dollars. Plus, the next day, maybe you call in at work because you're hungover, or maybe you work for yourself but you don't put in as much work, which means not as much payout. So in the long run, it costs you more money than just the money that you spent, and it also costs like part of your life too. So I would definitely recommend trying to lessen that or stop it completely. My last thing is to go vegan. So a lot of people say this costs more money, but actually, depending on how you do it, it costs less money, because instead of buying meat, you're buying like beans and whatever source of vegan protein is actually, if you do it the whole foods natural way, which is the way that humans thrive off eating anyway, it actually costs less money. You know, buying the meat, like, you can buy X amount cans of beans for like 1 piece of meat. So going vegan will save you a lot of money. And also, at the end of the day, if you follow the tips that I shared, I believe you will receive more karma, because you're doing less damage on the earth, on animals, on yourself. And karmically, I noticed that when I went vegan and I stopped drinking, every time I made a big lifestyle change like that, I would make a lot more money at my job, like, and it would be almost immediately, and it would happen whenever I made a big lifestyle change. So I sort of knew that they were correlated. So if you take that step and you push yourself to become a better person, to evolve, to do less damage, and to love yourself more, you're definitely going to get a karmic payout from that. And then on top of that, you're just going to feel better, and you will just naturally have more money in your bank account. Once you kind of start realizing that you don't need like all these material things to make you happy, not that they don't make you happy, because sometimes like you might find the perfect little thing at the thrift store that warms your heart. But once you kind of realize that the happiness comes within, you'll stop feeling like you need to spend your money on so many other things. And once you sort of slow down and pay more attention to the moment and what you're doing in the moment, you'll save money that way too. So I would say these are like a lot more sort of like eco-friendly, spiritual ways to save money, but I really think they would benefit anyone. I want to say, you know, take it or leave it if it doesn't resonate with you, but definitely give it a try. And especially during this time, you know, you can learn how to make your own things. I know that most people have the extra time to do that right now. And maybe learn more about recycling and write down some thrift stores you want to try out when things open back up, and try to go sober. This is the perfect time. If you're a little bit addicted to alcohol, this is the perfect time to detox and drink a bunch of water, eat a bunch of fruit and veggies. And you can also research on being vegan. So I really hope these tips helped you guys, and I really think they will. So I'd love if you'd give them a try and leave in the comments below if they worked for you. Bye!